Okay, we can go ahead and get started.
All right, I would like to call the October 28th, 2020 Public Arts Commission no, this is not a special meeting. This is a regular meeting, right? So we could, can we get a roll call, please?
Okay, I know Vice Chair Wynn is not able to attend, so Commissioner Sawyer.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Kurimitsu.
Here.
Commissioner Burke.
Here.
And then Chair Wong.
Here.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
And so let's move over to communications. Councilmember Schneider, do you have any communications you'd like to share with the commission?
Yes, I have two things. One, I'm sure Jeff is going to be happy to hear this, but I heard his vinyl covering of the K-Rail described as a rogue project. Somebody thought it was a rogue artist that put that up there. And I thought you'd be very happy to hear that.
I've always wanted to be a rogue artist. Are you kidding? That's great.
Banksy Burke.
Actually, with all the
Okay, the other item is a little bit more serious.
Go ahead.
The next item is a little more serious. We had a meeting, Diana Mahmood and I had a meeting with some of the officers from the police department. And they are very upset about the Black Lives mural being put on City Hall. And their point is that this is an anti-police movement. And putting it on City Hall makes it sound like the city council and the city does not support the police department in town. So I think there's going to be some kickback or pushback on that. And I told them we have not seen the art yet. We've only reserved the space. And the question is, what is the artwork going to show? And how is it going to be interpreted by the public? And they kept saying over and over, it shows that the Black Lives Matter movement is against the police, and they're some of the officers are very upset about it. So I think we ought to think about that and how we're going to deal with it, especially when we start getting some of the art coming through. Okay, so that's my report.
I have a comment. I'm sorry to hear that the officers, some of them feel like that, because the BLM movement is not an anti-police movement. And I know that some people interpret it like that, but it is not. The BLM movement is not anti-police. But I understand the concern about City Hall, and because there's a lot of discord with the city and the police department. And just like you noted, the police department, some of the officers aren't comfortable. But I can say that in terms of the artistic perspective, the mural is supposed to, represent people, show different people of all walks of life coming together, with the Black Lives movement prominent. But I can just tell you, I know that for a fact that the BLM movement is not anti-police. But I also understand there's a lot of, there could be pushback, and, if officers aren't comfortable, representatives for the BLM too, we want to make sure that they're engaged and make sure we have their feedback as well.
It was suggested, excuse me, Jazz, it was suggested by the officers that they have a representative of the POA, the Police Officers Association, come to the Arts Commission when we're dealing with the mural.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, well, I think the
Arts Commission as a whole, invitation, yes, the invitation is open, and we want to, the mural is, spearheaded by a group of young people, mostly high school students, and, their whole basis for the mural is to represent the national movement, but I know there's some discord in the city now, But we're working with reps from all sides, but I think that would be a great idea to bring someone in from the police to represent them and at least, come to the table and have a discussion.
I agree. But I just wanted to let you be aware that that's going to happen.
No, I understand. That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I would like to comment too and echo Jazz's point that I always thought BLM was a pro-life, pro-Black lives organization, and I haven't at all associated them with any anti-police behavior. And I think when I think of those things, I think of misinformation and how people can sometimes be misinformed. So, it'd be great to welcome someone, representative of the association, to join us. But I think too, maybe we should reach out to the Anti-Bias Club, and maybe they could perhaps help educate the local community, about what Black Lives Matter is, because it is not from my understanding, and I'm pretty confident, and Jazz is confident too, that it is not a anti-police organization. But thank you for giving us the heads up, because I think it is important for us to communicate with the community, with the police officers and the association, and so we do welcome that presence. But if we could know when that's going to happen, that would be, I think, helpful too.
I think the commission. This is just a suggestion for the commission. Not I'm telling you to do this, but maybe you should actually contact the POA and invite them to come. A representative to come to the meeting when we're going to discuss it.
Sure. No, I understand, Dr. Schneider. We have to actually, extend that invitation, and I think that is a good idea.
Well, actually, you don't. It is a public meeting, and anyone is welcome to attend. So anyone can attend.
Right.
Are we still doing comments right now? Is that what we're on?
Yes.
I'm finished with my comments. Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any more comments?
Well, actually, I have three. First of all, I'd like to say go blue. I want to celebrate the Dodgers winning the World Series last night. It's about damn time. My son is 30 years old, and it's the first Dodger championship he's seen in his life. Secondly, I should say that I also welcome the Police Officers Association to come to our meeting. However, I should say, and I'm trying to be as delicate and thoughtful as I can about this, it is very difficult to approve or not approve art based on political considerations or third-party public considerations. And I realize this is a political statement, so I welcome the POA to be at our meeting. However, it will be up to the commissioners to make the recommendation to the council about whether to do this. And thirdly, I'd like to say that I do not believe that Black Lives Matter is an anti-police statement in any way. I don't. I believe that it focuses on the value of Black lives, which have been undervalued to this point, specifically young Black men. And I believe that by placing this mural on City Hall, it shows that the leaders of our community think the same thing, that we believe that Black lives do matter and that everybody has a right to live in peace and safety in our community. Those are my comments.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Burke. Any other comments?
No, I would just echo everything that has been said.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if there are no more comments, let's move to Margaret. Do you have any staff liaison communications for us?
Yes, so I just wanted to bring to your attention that our next regularly scheduled meeting is scheduled for November 25th, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I wanted to open it up to the commission to see if that's a good date for everyone. With COVID-19, I know most of our Thanksgiving plans are probably a little different this year, but I just wanted to be sensitive to that and see if you guys wanted to maybe select another date or if you wanted to keep that date for the time being.
That date works for me.
That date's not the best, but it also, it works for me too.
Okay.
Yeah, that works for me as well. But maybe we could even look earlier in the week or the week before, just because some people may be traveling and
Yeah, I could make it work, but I would prefer the week before or the week after.
Okay, I do know for sure the week before on that Wednesday, we do have a council meeting. But how about I circulate an email to the commissioners and then we'll just try to see if
Okay.
we can do another date.
Great.
And then also just as a heads up, that will be my last meeting for a little while, since I'll be going out on leave at the end of November. So just a heads up, there will be staff available to you. I'm not sure exactly who that'll be at this moment, but just wanted to also let you know.
Also, the week following, the Wednesday following that is also a council meeting,
Correct.
December 2nd.
Mhm.
Margaret, how will we go on without you?
I'm sure you guys will survive. But thank you for the sentiment.
Sure. How long will you be gone?
About 3 to 4 months. Just depends on how the baby is, I guess.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Okay, those are the only comments I have.
Okay. Well, thank you, Margaret. And let's go to action/discussion. And to start off with, has everyone had the chance to review the September minutes? And if so, do I have a motion to approve?
I always do it. One of you guys do it. Come on. Oh, fine. I move to approve the minutes as presented. We need a second.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And the next item on our agenda, sorry, I'm scrolling down. South Pasadena Arts Council temporary alfresco public art project. And so last month we had the presentation, and now for the recommendation, it is recommended for the council to review and approve. Margaret, I might need your help on this. Is there, do we hear more, or do we have more feedback at this point? Or where are we at in this process?
Right. So the council had approved the contract with Spark to move forward with the project. So tonight we have Sandy and Blue from Spark to talk to you about the artist selection and artwork that has been curated for the K-Rail project.
Yes, yes. The
Before-
artwork that was also in the agenda way down towards the bottom, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And just to be clear, before we begin the presentation, once the artwork is approved by this commission, I believe we're done and it goes into production. Is that correct?
Correct.
Does it not go to council first?
I don't think so. I don't think that council approves the art. I think they've approved the contract and it's up to us to approve the art.
Okay, good. Something we don't have to do.
It gives us meaning.
Okay, and so
It also gives you the response. You also get the heat for it.
We do. Yes, we do. And I was aware of that when I was saying it. That
This
basically
one's
we
easy,
bear
maybe not
brunt
the
of it.
BLM mural.
okay, so Blue and Sandy, do you want me to pull up the artwork via the share screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can everyone see this?
Hmm? Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Go ahead, Sandy.
Well, Blue's the one who's done this work and pulled this all together. So I'm going to let him give you an overview of what we've got here.
So there are 38 pieces here, which represent a 3-foot by 10-foot K-rail. We may have more art than we have space for. There are a couple of little edits that may happen to a couple of the pieces of art because I haven't run it by the artist to make sure I haven't got typos in the name or the contact. And I noticed on Cindy Bemmel's piece on the upper left, that the theaters that are on either side are the same shot. She's been trying to get me a replacement shot. There's another shot of the Rialto that I want in there, and she's been having a hard time finding the one that I'm looking for. So I'm just waiting for the high-res version of that to be replaced on the right-hand side. But it'll be a similar theme as the one on the left, except it has the name Rialto a little bit more prominent on it. Other than that, the art is the art. Any comments about the art or?
I have a quick question. The Andy Bernstein piece of the Laker dunking, is that why can't I go think of his name? Kobe?
That's Kobe, yes.
Where is that? I don't see that.
Down at the bottom.
It's right near the bottom, the second row from the bottom on the right side.
So Andy had a close relationship with Kobe, and he really wants to put that image up. I think it's a beautiful image.
I think it'll be very highly regarded.
I do have a general question, which is not specifically relevant to the art, but the whole process. All the artwork seemed to be placed graphically on like a solid color background. Did the artists have any say? Did they choose the color, or is that something you did?
That's something I did, and specifically I did it so that we can have delineation between one artist and the next, so that they're not all in the same color background. Right. And do the artists know? Are they reviewing a proof of what it could look like and the color that goes with it? That might change, but I don't think so. I've showed most people progresses have been going along, and they've approved it. And as a matter of fact, a number of the artists are the ones that helped me, with the colors that they wanted, and I changed accordingly.
Hey, Blue. So I see you guys decided. I can't really see, but does it look like you have the artist name and you're able to get their website on there?
Website or an email address, whatever form of contact they wanted to put on there.
Okay, yeah.
And I have a quick technical question. So the artist name and the contact info, is that going to run? Are you seeing that, Blue, as running on the top of the K rail so it's facing up, or are you seeing that on the face so it's facing out?
On the face, and I figured that we'd have like an inch to wrap the top with.
Okay.
Commissioner Burke, I think there's some horses there for you.
It's not statues of horses, is it? It's just horses. And I'm sorry, people who haven't been with this commission for a while probably wouldn't recognize the hilarity of that comment. So just to make it short, I have a thing about statues of horses. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, I think you might represent the commission's feelings on that too.
I think these look really good. I'm very happy with these generally, and I think that the residents of the town and the people passing by will see, first a bit of color and then the details and the subtleties of some of the art. And I think it's going to reflect well on the town and on hopefully on the Arts Commission and City Council.
Hey, I had a question for Sandy and Blue, actually. When you guys, how did you, I know you guys put a note out there for it, but where did some of the artists come from? And did you, get some direct contact? Like, I want to be on this thing, or?
I made all the contacts myself, and I tried to curate a show that emphasized South Pasadena artists, but then I also wanted to put artists in there that haven't been seen in South Pass that I think the people in South Pass would like to see.
Yeah, we used many artists that we've worked with or previously, reached back out to them.
It's about a 50-50 split between South Pasadena artists and other artists.
Can I ask, is there anyone from the Box Project?
There is, let me see, two.
And Lori Hendricks, did she do a box?
There's three artists that were in the box project.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Blue, were there any artists that have contacted you or you've heard in any way that wanted to be included that were not?
The only person that I got a contact was after I'd laid them all out. Lori Wheeler from the chamber put me in touch with somebody, and I was in the middle of about 19 different things. I never got back to it. I'd already got the commitment from the other people that I had, and we had them all covered already. And I'm going to reach out to that person and express to them that I'd love to include them in something in the future, but it was kind of too late. It was literally the day I was finishing them all off that the contact happened.
So are we going to have unhappy people?
No, and you know, there was another person that contacted me really late in the game, and I had a nice conversation with him and told him that I can't commit to having one, but I would definitely include him if there was room. But I expressed to him that I can't guarantee it. So I don't think that anyone's going to be unhappy that has contacted me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't predict that, but I'll definitely make an effort to anyone that one or two people have contacted me to make them know that it came kind of a little bit late in the game for me to consider it. If it had come before I'd already committed and talked to all these other people, I would have definitely reached out to them. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling that there's going to be a couple of people that I'm going to have to omit here because I think the rail count's changed. I have 38, I believe there's 35 plus a couple of fives. So I'll have to deal with that.
So Blue, what's your process for eliminating a couple of them?
There's some people that are out of town, that aren't local to the area, and they the ones that I would consider first for removal. One would be the one in the one right above Kobe Bryant. That's an artist from the West Side. And she just gave me some images, and I never really got the high res, and I finally found files that I was able to use. She hasn't seen it, and she won't have any problem if it isn't in there. And the other one would probably be Victoria Areola, and she, quite frankly, never got me any files. She gave me a couple of files, and I had to repeat 2 images to complete hers. And I'll talk to her. I know her very well, and I'll just tell her, look, it didn't fit. That was the one where there's the same painting on either side. And she really didn't have any art that was really prepared for this. So I put something together, but I don't really feel like that's a really good representation of a space for me. Yes?
Aren't some of the K rails shorter than 10 feet? You know, some of the ones that are an angle and
no, those are the 10 footers. There's 3 5-footers, as I believe. And what I was going to do is find out what would be best for that. I might be able to use one half an artist. I really didn't want to do that. I was thinking it might be a better solution on the 5-footers to contact the poets and see if we can get a couple more poems up, because there are only 2 poets in the group.
So Blue, does this wrap all the way around one K rail, or is it just one side? So there'll be 2 artists on each.
2 artists per 20 foot.
Right. Okay.
And it's just on the one side, as I understand, on the street facing side.
Yeah.
You know, Blue, in regards to those 5-foot rails that we had discussed, finding some additional pros to fit those, what we possibly could do is take one of the 10-foot that you already have laid out and break that into 2 5-foot, and that would give you another, for one of these other artists who's going to fall out or is disappointed, it could give us one more space.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to be upset with it, and there is a little bit of wiggle room there, so I'm not opposed to any
throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think that could be a good solution. I was just trying to get a diversity, so there's a lot of different artists and different types of work, and both photography and painting and some digital, and I think it's a good diverse crowd.
Okay, does the commission have any more questions for Spark, Blue, or Sandy? And if not, could I have a motion to approve this, to approve Spark's artworks?
I move to
Proposed artworks.
approve the artworks as proposed.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just want to say, Blue and Sandy and Spark, thank you guys for, you know, really bringing this to the forefront, because otherwise we'd be looking at a bunch of cement blocks down our street. Like there's going to be construction of a new hotel or something. So thank you guys for spearheading that and bringing it to our city in a swift, timely manner.
I think it's going to be pretty dramatic once it's all up, because you know, we're looking at little representations of it. When it's big and on the street, it's going to be a talking point, and I think it's going to do justice to the space in the city.
Sorry, Blue, one last question. When do you think it will all be completed?
Now that it's approved, now it's going to get lobbed towards Jeff as far as a schedule for printing. And as soon as I know what his schedule is, I'm going to immediately schedule the first available weekend after I have the prints in hand to do 2 parklets and do 2 parklets a weekend. And I might do a weekday. I think it might be easier in the weekends. It might be a little bit easier in traffic. And I don't want to, if I did it, I have to do it early or late in the day during the week. And I think traffic is going to be heavier then. And I'd rather try and space it out so that I can do it at a real low traffic time. And I think it can go up pretty quickly. Jeff and I put up the one that's up there now, and it seemed to go pretty easily. And my intention is to do it as quickly as possible. I know that everyone started looking at the white rails, and
well, Blue, I can tell you this. You know, you could probably get Commissioner Burke anytime, because he's a rogue artist, is what I understand.
That's what I've been told. Blue, do you have an idea of how you're going to organize these in terms of parklet groups?
I will
get a parklet group at a time.
Yeah, I'll get that to you. I'll get the first 2 parklets to you before the end of the week. How's that sound? And then we will have a starting point, and then possibly the next weekend we'll put the first batch up.
So Sandy, you won't be supervising any rogue artwork activities, correct? You're going to leave it up to Blue?
Well, it's always my job to supervise. Pick up the details, but
keep an eye on them, all right? Keep an eye on
they'll be doing the hard work, but we want to, thank you guys too for the opportunity, and I think what we pulled together is, I'm really inspired by it, so I'm very excited to see it in place. And
thank you to Spark. Thank you to Spark.
Spark comes through for us again. I'm very happy to see. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to echo that. Both Blue and Eddie and Spark, thank you so much. What you put together in such a short time is quite amazing. I'm really happy that there's a mix of both local artists, 50%. And I do enjoy looking at new artists that I don't know about outside of the community here. So I'm excited to see this happen, and thank you for pulling it together in such a quick and fast and efficient manner. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome.
Our pleasure.
All right. Let's move on to item number 7 on the agenda, artist rights.
Chair Wong?
Yes.
It appears that we have lost Commissioner Kuramitsu. And Margaret, we still have a quorum, do we not?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yes. She is missing. But yeah, and I think we're having a really important discussion too, which it seems maybe a little disappointing to have two people out on such, I believe, in such important discussion topic, which is artist rights and the California Art Preservation Act. I think it was last month, it was attached to our agenda. I admitted that I hadn't fully read everything. And so we've had a month now, and I guess now's the time to maybe talk about this more. But I guess first let's oh, and I think Chris is coming back. I guess now is the time to have a discussion.
Sure.
And would someone like to lead off that discussion? Jeff, would you be interested in doing that?
Sure, I would be happy to start. And I have to tell you that it was myself and Commissioner Hund that noticed that, let me rephrase this. This is here because it is important for our city leaders to understand that artwork and artists have value, and that the work that they do should be respected. And even though it is more frequently easier for city's attorney, city council to be sure of liabilities that may be encountered about this art, to just take ownership of the copyright and thereby theoretically be in control of the work and how it's shown. Yet I believe that most people in the arts world believe this to be a unreasonable sort of a way of handling business, and that a more reasonable, more artist-friendly way to deal with the work of artists being shown in public would be to follow some of the guidelines that are being presented here. So what I sent along last month and what we are looking at, there were 2 documents that I presented, and then Margaret also sent along a copy of the California Arts, and I think you're just showing another California, I forget what it's called, California Arts thing, whatever that's called. But what we're looking at here are best practices, and primarily what we're talking about here are trying to incorporate best practices into the work of the city and the Public Arts Commission by following these proposed best practices for all of the art that will be shown within our city. So specifically, the first document was from an organization from Americans for the Arts. And there's a list of, 29 different recommendations for arts, for best practices for art projects. And I'm sorry, I'm looking this way because I have a second monitor and it's easier for me to read from there. Some of these are, it seems to me, very obvious. And some of them hit more on the point of how does the city minimize its liabilities while still, working closely with artists. The second document that I also sent along was from Sarah Odenkirk, and it was essentially a way for city attorneys to be able to help the cities manage the art assets that they have in an artist-friendly way. I would recommend we can discuss all of the items from the best practices, and we can go through each one of those if we want to. I think what would be probably most beneficial would be to have these documents sent along to, I don't know if we have as a commission, have the authority to be able to send something to city council, to city, legal counsel, council SEL, not CIL, and have the city council, and I forget, who is the city attorney right now, Rick?
Terry Highsmith.
Right, and so it would be probably good to have these sent along and have a discussion with city legal to make sure that everybody is comfortable with this before we eventually send this through to city council for approval. Now, it's my opinion, it's my thought that city council should buy into this. I'm not sure and this is more of a question for Margaret, if this is something that City Council necessarily needs to approve, or if it's something that just the Public Arts Commission ourselves can approve and work within these best practices guidelines. But it seems to me that by the City Council adopting these guidelines, it would help to reinforce the idea that South Pasadena is an artist-friendly city.
Right, I would
That
agree
is-
that it should go to council for approval, since that provides a greater umbrella for any type of public art project within the city.
I think so. So that was my motivation behind this, was to try to find a way to be certain that South Pasadena is seen as an artist-friendly city, and that we can manage our artist practice, our art assets in a way that is fair to both the reasonable concerns of the city, but also respecting the artists and their copyright. That's where I am with this. Chair Wong, I think the councilman has his finger up.
Oh, sorry. I did not. Councilmember Schneider.
I think to speed things along, I think you should send the Art Converge document, the copyright ownership of commissioned art and your best practices to the city attorney before it goes to council, because council will probably just refer it to her anyway. So to speed it along, and speed things up, I would send it to her right away. Tell her that we're going to submit something like this to council, and council will ask for a city attorney's opinion on it.
I agree, absolutely. I think that's absolutely the right way to go. I think that what we might want to do is we might want to take, there's this best practices, the entire document that was sent along, and there's a statement of purpose and all of that. But it sounds to me as though just the defined terms and the proposed best practices are the specific items that we want the city to buy into. And I think that the Sarah Odenkirk, the Art Converge white paper should also be sent along to the city. But really what I think we want to do is we want to have City Council approve and adopt the best practices document.
Commissioner Burke, I was wondering if you could riff on this. It was number 12.
Roger that.
Right, so take a look at that one, right? All projects that have a written agreement that includes a clear articulation of scope of work, budget, and schedule. So,
right, now I believe what that means is that if the city is the commissioning party, so if the city, if we as the Public Arts Commission or some other part of the city, if we commission art to be done, that we should adhere to number 12, which is all projects should have a written agreement that includes a clear articulation of scope of work, budget, and schedule. What I think that's just saying is be businesslike, just be businesslike in your dealings, right? Be professional. I mean, that's how I read it. Maybe somebody else reads it differently. And I think for the most part, most of the items in here really are about professional business practices with a healthy dose of empathy in both directions, both for the city and for the artists.
Yeah,
I really think that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Most of them, like you said, they're pretty, interpretive, but pretty standard across, the board. Just 12.
Were there any questions about any of the other items? I mean, I appreciate that one. And I have to say, I am not an arts attorney, and realistically, Sarah Odenkirk would be a better one here to decipher some of this and explain it. But most of it seems fairly obvious to me, and I think to most people it would seem fairly obvious. And I believe it's reasonable to have artists make these. Have artists expect that this would be the sort of practices that the city would follow when dealing with them.
Right. Then you look at number 27, and it kind of spells it out right there as well.
Sure. And, I think we're talking about, so for instance, the K-Rail for the alfresco dining project that we're talking about now, that doesn't necessarily fall in line with this because that is a temporary art project. That is not a piece of fine art that is a long-term asset that is going into, that belongs to the city. I think if we're talking about that sort of a thing, and that brings me back to the sculpture, and Margaret, you're going to have to help me again, that was the artist declined to give to us because the city would not recognize the California ordinance. Is that right?
Right.
What's his name? What is his name? I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I
It's,
should remember his name. This is bad, and this is a public thing, and here I am saying I don't remember his name. That is something, you know, we might yet be able to renegotiate that, and that the city does get a piece of art, and the artist just has to expect that there is a certain amount of reasonableness that maybe wouldn't be the full California ordinance, but that in fact might be somehow modified or mitigated in the way that Sarah Odenkirk recommends, so that the city could get the art and the artist could feel like there's a reasonable amount of care and preservation involved with that, but that the artist doesn't have all of the rights that Section 987 calls out.
and I believe his name was Richard Ellis. Is that correct?
Sounds right. That sounds right. Dr. Schneider.
Jeff, is somewhere in there, is there some way to distinguish this between a permanent piece of art on display and a temporary, even if the temporary might be for several years?
Yeah, if you refer to number 18, there's little language in there.
Well, there is that. I see that number 18, all artist warranties should not exceed 2 years. I think specifically what Dr. Schneider's referring to is, does the art qualify for this best practices or not? Is that, am I understanding you correctly?
Well, I think, you know, with best intentions, somebody, we might commission something that we think is going to be permanent. And for one reason or another, maintenance or opposition or whatever, it might get taken down, or the people want to take it down. And I think you have to have some way of determining beforehand, if it's only be a temporary exhibit, like for 6 months, I think it should say, well, okay, this is for 6 months. But if it's going to be permanent, like for decades, I think you want to distinguish between those so that people know whether it's going to be permanent or temporary. And I just think that's a good idea, because I know in Pasadena, they've had problems. They put in pieces of art in various parts of the city, and they get pushback from somebody who doesn't like it. So then they make it a temporary piece, and either they remove it or move it to another part of the city.
You know, I'm scanning this really quickly right now. I believe there was a recommendation for that in here. Am I wrong? And I wish I was the author of this. I'd probably be more fluid with it, but I'm not.
So 13, or sorry, number 14 does establish that there should be a process in case something changes. So to kind of piggyback off of what Dr. Schneider is saying, I think also if there is a project that is installed and if there is an issue that comes up, you know, maybe it becomes a hazard or a safety concern, to still be able to provide the city with the ability to remove that artwork. I think something like that could fall under number 14.
Right. I mean, if we were going to put up a statue of Jeff Burke, you know, in front of
On a horse.
And I'm expecting that, by the way.
On a horse.
and it was going to be a permanent statue for time immemorial. I mean, I think you want to say that at the beginning so everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there's a clause in there that says maybe after a certain time, or again, like you said, maintenance, and maybe there's some, we can put a soft, friendly clause in there.
I believe, and maybe, and I just accidentally closed the Sarah Odenkirk document. I believe that there was a way to manage, in fact, it was in the Sarah Odenkirk, and I have to find it again. Oh, maybe you have it up on your screen. She had recommended that there was a way to mitigate that, and that was to have the owners, being the city, give a 90-day notice. If I'm doing this from memory, a 90-day notice of an intention to withdraw the art, and that the two sides should enter into negotiation about anything that needs to be discussed. And if there is not an agreement, that basically the art just, if it's possible, gets given back to the artist. And I'm doing that from memory. Let me go back to my email and find
Well,
it.
I think that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, some kind of process. You know, if it's a recognized process.
Sure, and I think that is, it is discussed, but I have to find it again.
I actually think it's somewhere in the civil code, the 987 civil code, if I remember
does it?
correctly. I think they do. There is a process of if something needs to be taken down.
Oh, there it is. Yes, it is item number 2. If the owner of a building wishes to remove a work of fine art which is part of the building, but which cannot be removed without substantial harm, in the course of after removal, the owner intends or cause to allow the fine art to suffer physical defacement. Reading through, that the person, his or her beneficiary or personal representative, to notify them in writing of the intended action affecting the work of fine art. If the work is removed at the expense of the artist, his or her heir shall have title to the fine art and pass to that person. Well, I'm reading that in the section 987, number 2. That seems to address what we're asking about, but that's only for a work of fine art. So it sounds like only a mural.
Yeah.
Yeah, your question is a good question, Rick. And I'm not sure that right now I have the specific answer to that. That might be something that we might want to discuss with the city attorney.
Yeah, because it's kind of between 2 and 3. It's there, but it's not. We may have to create some language.
Well, you know, it would seem to me that rather than creating new language, that we should be able to find the language that is appropriate to what the question is here in the documents that are already written.
So I think the Sarah Odenkirk one does cover that under modification, destruction, or removal of artwork.
Right.
The section that I just highlighted.
Hold on. Right. That was exactly what I was thinking of. The owner shall make a good faith effort to consult with the artist in the planning and execution of such an alteration. The owner shall make a reasonable effort to maintain the integrity of the artwork. If the artwork cannot be successfully removed or relocated as determined by the owner, the artist may disavow the artwork or have the artwork returned to the artist at the artist's expense. That seems reasonable to me for both sides.
Okay, good. That's a process to do it.
I am sure there will be a host of other questions about specifics like this. And, you know, at a certain point, they will have to be figured out at the moment. But I think that in general, it would benefit the city to adopt these best practices and then work out the specifics on a as needed basis.
Great. Are there any other comments from the commission? Questions?
I have to say, I like both Margaret and Rick's suggestion that we forward this immediately to city attorney and be prepared to discuss this with them prior to presenting it to council.
Okay, and can we use some of, how do we go about that process? Is that something, Margaret, that you could help facilitate? Or is that something that we identify one person from the commission to outreach?
So I would actually suggest that you create an ad hoc committee and have 2 members of the commission participate in that. Otherwise, if you want the full commission to participate in that discussion, then we'd have to ask the attorney to attend the next commission meeting. So with an ad hoc committee, it would be a little bit faster.
I personally don't think we're in any rush with this, but at the same time, I do appreciate efficiency and expediency, and so it might be just quicker and thus draining for the whole commission. If there was an ad hoc committee that was set up, is there any other input from any other commissioners in terms of preferences?
I think you should just have a resolution saying that the commission would like the city attorney to review these documents and discuss it with you later.
Okay.
I move that exactly what he said.
Yeah. Okay. So the motion would be to can you repeat that, Council Member Schneider?
Just have a resolution to forward these two documents to the city attorney.
Okay.
Have her look at it and discuss it with you later.
Okay. So is there a motion to come up with a resolution to forward these two documents to the city attorney?
So moved.
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. All right. Is that it for? Sorry. Let me get back to the agenda. For the artist rights and California art preservation discussion. And if so, if there's no further comments, I think that brings us to the end of the agenda. And so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be safe.
By the way, and I'm sorry, we are forwarding this. So we are doing this without an ad hoc committee. We are going to forward the document directly to council, and we will to the city attorney. And then at some point, city attorney is going to want to have a discussion with someone. Chair Wong, would that be you?
I mean, it could be. I actually think if and when that happens, could we then set up an ad hoc committee to help facilitate that? And then I think Jeff, I would love to nominate you to head that ad hoc committee.
I'd be happy to
Yes,
participate.
Councilmember Schneider.
You may or may not need an ad hoc committee. If you send it to her and she just writes back, hey, I think this is great. Why don't we send it to council? You're done.
When was the last time you ever had an attorney say, "Oh yeah, it all looks great, we're done"? That doesn't happen. Come on.
Well, you can always hope, but I think you just ask for her to respond to the commission. And if she has some real serious concerns, then you could set up an ad hoc committee to deal with it.
Now we don't have to create any new language, so we should be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main concern, right, was the fact that the city attorney and the council didn't want the artists to retain the rights to their work. So we want to make sure that that's a clear message that we're sending in all of these documents, that the artist's rights are maintained, and that the attorney might have some questions or comments about that we should be prepared to answer. So
Exactly so.
And so is the process literally me just sending the documents over to her, or Margaret, do we, again, I think this is my original question, do we go through the city liaison or go through you?
I'll go ahead and send the documents and share what the commission's wishes are.
Okay, great.
You'll send them for as long as you're still with us, short timer, is that right?
Not that short. I still have a full month.
Okay.
So do I.
Will you be at the next meeting, Margaret?
Yes. So the November meeting, I'll still be there. So I won't be out of commission until the beginning of December. So.
See what she did there? Out of commission.
I'm on quarantine. Gotta get my kick.
Very clever, very clever.
Okay. Well, I need to run, and I'm going to go get some food. But thank you, everyone, for our meeting. And Margaret, we'll be in touch about scheduling that November meeting, if I'm correct. Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody.
Thanks.
night.
Good night.
Bye.